At World Remit, we understand what the journey is about, how it can sometimes take a little distance to bring us a little closer together. With ways to save more when you send more, World Remit is here for you, so you can be there for them.
Okay.
Sorry, my phone just fell down. Sorry.
Okay, we're on Facebook now. So yeah. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us again. Thank you. Sorry about that. Okay, everybody, thank you very much once again for joining us this Saturday. Last week we were not here because last week we were celebrating our Jamhuri, and it was a success. It was a very good event. I liked it. It was a total success. So thank you very much, everybody who joined us last week for Jamhuri celebrations. We had the ambassador of UK give his speech, which was actually really good. Okay, thank you very much. So we have somebody called Michael as well. So Michael, if you can move back a little bit because we can't really see you properly. And thank you very much for Michael joining us. Michael is actually from Uganda. And that's what One Voice is all about. It's about uniting not just Kenyans, but Africans in diaspora. So thank you very much, Michael, for joining us as well. Okay, so I'm going to start with introduction. So I have Ruben, who is Reverend Ruben. And then I have Coril, Weldon Coril. I'm sure a lot of people know Weldon already. And we have John as well, who is the chairman of KDA. We all know John. And then today we're privileged to have Juliet Makapila join us. And we also have Langat as well, who is going to be behind closed doors because of he's a babysitter today. And we love children, so we have to respect that. And then we also have special guests today with us, Alex. And we also have all the way from United States of America, Obama's land. We have Lawrence with us today. And we also have Michael all the way from Uganda, actually. And we welcome him as well. So thank you very much. So I'll start with Reverend Ruben to introduce himself and tell us who he is and what he does. Just introduction, guys. I'll take the mic from you if you're going too far from that. So thank you, Pastor.
Okay, thank you so much, Lydia. I just want to take this opportunity, first of all, to thank you very much for inviting me. My name is Reverend Ruben Mugweru. I live in Peterborough, and I serve in a local community church there, which is Kenyan-led, and Faith in Christ Revival Ministries, or FICC. Now, I have been in Peterborough for over 15 years, and we are involved in so many other community engagements. I'm part of the interfaith community in Peterborough, and also I'm part of the Kenyan community in Peterborough, which is known as KCAP. And therefore, I am really, really pleased to see all of you. And I'm believing that we are going to have a very, very productive conversations tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Reverend. I'm surprised you didn't take the whole time. You know, when you give a reverend a microphone, they don't give it back. But you gave it back to us. So thank you very much.
I'm very obedient.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so I'll go to Weldon. Weldon, please.
Yes, my name is Weldon Korir, and I am the president of Kenyans in France Umbrella Association. I have been here since the beginning, and I'm looking forward to the best of it today. Thank you very much, Lydia.
Thank you so much. Okay, so I'll go to John. John Kanyaru, please.
Thank you, everyone. My name is John Kanyaru. I'm a businessman in United Kingdom and also the chairman of Kenya Diaspora Alliance UK chapter. It's great to see different personality. I think I've been on this platform with Lydia for the last, I think, a month or two. And I enjoy discussing issues relating to Kenya. And it is good to have input from different parts of the world, because I believe if diaspora, we are united, we are able to move in different ways in terms of influencing policies and procedures back in Kenya. The last time we were here with Ahmed Isaac, he said the problem, or rather the biggest weakness we have as diaspora is disunity. And that's why even the politician, they ask, mutadu. So even if we don't give you a chance to vote, even if we don't give you an opportunity to have representative, even in parliament or in policy, mutadu, that is Ahmed Isaac, and that is not a gentleman in the street. He was the IEBC chairman. Anyway, today, I will not be participating a lot. I'll be behind the camera answering question on the Facebook, but I am here, and thank you for inviting me again, Lydia. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John. Okay, so I'm going to go to Juliet Makapila, please.
Greetings, everyone, and thank you so much, Lydia, for hosting this beautiful show. And of course, you invited me to this show here today. My name is Juliet Makapila, and of course, I've met a few of you in the past. I'm a community change maker, popularly known as the African Wonder Woman. Many people call me that, and I just love love, and I feel that love should be spread across the whole world. I love making a difference to the world, and I believe that when you invited me to talk about the role of the diaspora for Kenyans, I felt very privileged for the fact that this is a topic that is very much needed in our community. So I think that is just a little bit about me. I'm also I'm also the founder of UK Africa Diaspora Forum. I enjoy politics. Many of you know me into also, I wear many hats. But overall here today, I'm standing in as a community change maker, just somebody to talk about issues that are really much needed in the community. So here today, I'm just really happy to be joining the program, to talk to people, to see what people are saying. And thank you for inviting me to this show as well. So I remember I met Coril, well done, in France. I thank you so much for doing the work that you're finally doing. Thank you for bringing and endeavoring to bring Kenyans together. That's absolutely critical across France, across here. So that's a bit about myself, Lydia. I just think that's, I love love. Let's spread the message of hope. And Kanyaro, I think I've met Kanyaro in another program. So yeah, so I'm really happy that she made sure I'm here. And thank you to Kenya in the Park founder as well, because she said, Makapila, we need you here. And I said, what, where? She said to me, have you heard about KD something? I said, what are you talking about? And she said, this weekend we're having you. So thank you, Lydia.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Juliet. Okay, now I'm going to Moses Langat. We can't hear you, Moses.
I told you there will be plenty of noise coming from here because I have people running around. So I think I'm known. I'll be on the background, as I mentioned. But I'm Moses Langat, a deputy chair of KDA UK chapter.
Okay, thank you very much, Moses. He had to do that fast because, as I said before, today is a babysitter. Okay, so, and then we also have our special guest, Alex Kamodo, please. Alex, we can't hear you. You're muted. Technology, yes.
Yes, my name is Alex. I think the only person I know in the forum, I know, of course, Lydia and John. I think I've met John once or twice. I'm an academic myself. I have spent the entire part of my life in this land in a lecture theater teaching kids around here. People call me Mwalimu, and I'm okay with that. And when I have time, as I do write commentaries on Kenyan issues. And I suppose probably maybe a few of you would have read those. And I'm delighted to be here, to be able to share ideas and listen to what others have to say, because that way I think we learn and make a step forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Alex. And you also have one of our special guests all the way from USA, So Lawrence, please.
Thank you, Lydia, and greetings to everyone and those on the panel and those watching from wherever you may be. I'm delighted to be part of this show. Lydia invited me. I did not hesitate. She told me there'll be a group of smart people exchanging ideas on developing Kenya. So that is an opportunity not to be missed. Juliet and I have interacted. So it's good to see you and be on the same panel. I'm part of the One Voice, as Lydia mentioned. And for those who don't know One Voice, we are a consortium of 40 independent organizations and growing. And maybe for analogy, think of a tree. We're all part of one tree, and the organization are the branches and the roots and so forth. So we want to grow into a big, strong tree to be able to tackle the issues we need to do. My organization is the Africa Welfare Association. And I think later Lydia will give me a chance to tell you more about it.
Okay, thank you very much. And then we have our last guest, Michael. Thank you.
Hi, thank you, Lydia, for inviting me. My name is Michael Kello. I'm part of a WhatsApp forum trying to unite Ugandans and Kenyans in London, in diaspora. And it's from that forum that I heard about One Voice and the concept of One Voice for all Africans was so powerful that I had to accept her invitation. And that's something that needs to be spread, because I feel that, I don't know about Kenya, but within the whole of East Africa, the last 5 years, 2013 to maybe about 2018, 19, we contributed 17.2 billion US dollars to East Africa, but we have no voice. So I think it's time that we in diaspora actually maybe unite together and have one voice which crosses all boundaries, all borders. And just like one of your guests said, spreads love all throughout Africa. So thank you, Lydia.
Thank you very much. Okay, it's with Michael. In fact, we were just having a discussion today when I posted something on the group, and it's mainly actually a Ugandan group, but I shared it and somebody commented and we started the conversation from there. And they were like, oh, we don't have a forum. And I said, there is a forum, One Voice, that is trying so much to unite diaspora together, not just Kenyans, but diaspora, but Africans in diaspora. And individually as countries, we've also managed to come together. So we have in the UK, we have KDA, actually KDA that tries so much to unite all Kenyans in the UK. Definitely not easy. And we also have in France, we have Kifua as well, who have actually managed to bring a lot of France under them. And Kifua is Kenyans in France Umbrella Association. So they've done really, really well, and well done. Thank you. And now we have One Voice that is going to unite all the organizations under one umbrella. And that is what we've been saying since we started this, since we started with the talk show, is that we need one umbrella, and now we have it. And that's why I'm really privileged that we have Lawrence here with us today. So without much further ado, I'm going to ask Weldon to share what he has for us today. It's just a little presentation, and then from there, we're going to take it up from there. Thank you very much. Unmute yourself, Weldon, if you're going to talk.
Thank you very much, Lydia. Today, as we are talking about the role of the diaspora in national development back home, it is important to know that one of the key pillars of Kenya's foreign policy is the diaspora diplomacy. And in this diaspora diplomacy, I just thought maybe we could help Kenyans in diaspora understand what are some of the things that the Kenyan government, which is under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, exactly, which is the key partner to us as diaspora, what exactly have they done so far? one thing that they have done since 2014 June is the document called Kenya Diaspora Policy, in trying to mainstream all diasporas, the Kenya diaspora, into development of Kenya. So the Kenya Diaspora Policy, which was actually has been there since June 2014, was aimed especially to cap the high cost of remittance. As we know that we are sending a lot of money back home. So I think the government, through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, so that they need to reduce the costs of remittance, so that when we send the money, we send it at a lower cost, and it will in such a way encourage us to keep sending money home. Another thing through this Kenya Diaspora Policy was to improve the consular services. And we have seen also that the government, though there are so many challenges and complaints, as when I speak through the experience from the French part, the Kenyans in France, they still have issues on working together with the embassy. But we have seen lately how the consular services have improved, especially with the passports, with the e-passports that we have, one in the UK and one in Paris and one in Germany. So we can still, nowadays we can access these services here. Another thing that the government, through this Kenya Diaspora Policy, when they actually put it forward, was using Kenyans abroad to promote tourism. And another one is tapping into diaspora talents and expertise. So as we see, this Kenya Diaspora Policy actually has 4 chapters, which is 28-page document. And the first chapter talks about introduction and background. And in this chapter, some of the things that I noticed that was highlighted is the challenges to effective contribution to national development of the diaspora, Kenyans in diaspora. So in this chapter, Kenyan government actually acknowledges the challenges that they have as a government to mainstreaming, to bringing all the Kenyans in diaspora into contribution to national development. So the first thing they do is to acknowledge that there is a problem. And one of the problems that they acknowledge is lack of comprehensive framework. That is to say, there is lack of coordination, how the government can actually work together with the diaspora into fully integrating the diaspora into national development. So when we see in chapter 2 of the document, they are actually explaining the strategies and the policies that they intend to improve this, to address these challenges, so that the diaspora can be effective in contribution to national development. And some of the strategies that was mainstream includes mechanisms of reducing the high costs of remitting money. So the mechanisms, as explained in the document, is that the government was supposed, or are supposed to, negotiate with the financial institutions who are responsible, like the M-Pesa that we are using and all the applications that we are using to send money home. The government, as the main key player, was responsible, or are responsible, to negotiate, to lower the costs, so that we as Kenyans can send money at cheaper rates. Another thing is promote diaspora participation. So I can speak about this, one of the experiences that we have seen lately with the Kenyan embassy in France, trying as much as possible to support the Umbrella Association to pick up so that we can work together. So that's one way, that one thing that I see that has been effective so far in the last 2 months, us working as an Umbrella Association in France to bring all Kenyans as individuals, all Kenyans associations into one Umbrella Association in France. As much as I am aware that some countries, the diplomatic mission, are trying the same thing. So another thing that that's included in the document are incentives and investment packages to try as much as possible to introduce investment programs to Kenyans in diaspora, so that these initiatives can target Kenyans here and and improve the investment opportunities here, and encourage also Kenyans to invest back home. And some of the things also are like public private partnerships, as mentioned in chapter 2. The third strategy that the government mentioned in this policy is reintegration mechanisms for returnees, those Kenyans who want to go back home. The transfer of experience, expertise, the reintegration, people who have trainings like security in military, especially people like me who have military training and expertise. So they also mentioned in this document that they are planning to find a way where they can, or mechanisms where they can use this expertise back home. Something that they mentioned as well is democratic processes to make sure, I think like the way they have done with the e-passports, to make sure that also Kenyans abroad can have a chance to vote. In chapter 3 of the document, they talk about the institutional and implementation framework. And one thing that I picked from the chapter 3 is the National Diaspora Council of Kenya. This National Diaspora Council of Kenya is mainly for benchmarking, annual homecoming conferences, awards, or recognizing individuals in diaspora who are doing so much to promote or to improve national development back home. And these are things that are done back home, and they are under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And some of the institutions as well that are supposed to be working to make sure that this implementation of this policy is seen through government line ministries like Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Ministry of Trade, Ministry of Tourism, and all the departments and Kenyans Association abroad. The Kenyans associations abroad include the associations, the umbrella associations that we are running. The chapter 4, which is the last one in this 28-page document, talks about monitoring and evaluation. So the monitoring and evaluation in such a way that they are supposed to monitor the implementation of this document and consult with the necessary associations and partners and bring back the feedback. But this is the conclusion, that as much as we have seen that this document is so much beautiful and well prepared, like the way most of Kenyans, like even in our constitution, we are so good in developing documents. I ask you today, has this document really been implemented to the satisfaction of diasporans? So in my conclusion, the Kenyans abroad need to establish an umbrella association as soon as possible that pushes for implementation of Kenya diaspora policy, and also consult with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs headquarters and missions abroad to upgrade the document with the proposals sent by various diaspora representatives to BBI task force. Because we know that most of the associations here in the US and the UK sent their proposals to the BBI. So this is my conclusion, and without wasting much time, I want to give you back, Lydia, so that we can discuss. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you very much. Well done for that. So I know you asked a question that all that was on that document, has it been implemented at all? So I think a little bit of discussion, we're going to discuss the Kenya diaspora policy, just to see if we're actually going anywhere, we are anywhere. And when we say Kenya, we actually now is Kenya stroke Africa, because we have somebody who is not Kenyan here, and we want him to also feel welcomed. And that's why I like One Voice Consortium. Okay, so I'll start with you, Lawrence. Do you have any suggestions that you can input in that?
Thank you. Well done. That was a fantastic presentation of the document and the issues articulated therein. I think this is still a work in progress, in my view. And in the US, we are aware of certain things that government is still trying to do, especially through KRA, because we still have issues. We might write, as you mentioned, very good documents, but the implementation is always a challenge. But as Kenyans, I think we tend, and I'm not talking about anybody on here, but we tend to complain a lot about things. And I tell people, complain to the right person. If I have a problem and I go and complain to the wrong people, there'll never be a solution. So we need to be able to engage where we see an issue with the right people. The problem again comes about who's the right people when you want to do something, and are the different arms of government communicating with each other. So foreign affairs might have a well-meaning initiative, but is KRA aware about it? Is the trade ministry, on board with whatever foreign affairs is trying to do? And I think those are the challenges, but we're all in one house, so they're easy to solve.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lawrence. And Alex, do you have any more contribution to regards to that?
I have just listened keenly with the presentation by Weldon, and it's actually quite well summarized. I did read the document, I think about a week and a half ago, and I had looked at it when it came out about 2015. And I say again with sadness, just like many of our documents, it is a brilliant piece of art. It's well written, it is comprehensive, and I would imagine perhaps the input that they received would have been quite well informed. But I just want to mention something Lawrence has said, that many a times, the documents might be very good. I teach business strategy, for example, myself. But if one department is not talking to the other, we end up with what we call corporate silos, where you have one head of the department doing one thing and the other one doing another thing. And in the end, the lack of that coherence that we need to transfer words and make them into tangible actions is a major flaw of this document. I just want to pick up just one point. For example, the intention of the government to reduce the high cost of remittance. This was in 2014. We are in 2020. And you'd actually almost see that technology and competition and other factors have actually intervened to resolve that issue ahead of the government. Very well intentioned, but what has the government actually done to be able to achieve that? Factors other than the government have actually been able to help to achieve that. And I think moving forward, what in my view, would bring some coherence into this. The last conversation we had about this, I think in the very end, we may need to have what I would almost call a figure working in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs who actually understands the diaspora and is able then to look at what is encompassed in this document and see which departments within government need to do what to ensure that that document sees the light of day. If that does not happen tomorrow, we will end up with a beautiful document in the Foreign Affairs Ministry. But for example, if you move from here, I'll just give you a small example. For example, the Education Ministry. We have mentioned something to do with the integration of the use of talents that the Kenyans in the diaspora have. The Foreign Affairs Ministry understands that in the document. Is the Ministry of Education aware about that? When we have, for example, Kenyans who want to move from here and go and invest back in Kenya, a different government department deals with that. Are those departments working together? And if the answer to that question is no, then the document will continue being worth only as much as the paper it is written on, but nothing more than that.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Alex. Okay, I'll go to Reverend. Reverend, please.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I think Alex has really provided a very good input in that document. Because I also read the document, and I had the same questions, because of course the government has intentions of promoting continuous dialogue with Kenyans abroad. And of course, that is why that's the reason for the policy. But, how well that is implemented is a problem. I've been in Peterborough for the last 15 years, and I don't think at any one time we have had any engagement, any meaningful engagement with the consular services or with the embassy. And if the government has good intentions. I feel that, you know, of course it was 2014 and now of course we are in 2020, it's over 6 years. And I don't think majority of the Kenyans, I don't think they even have ever heard about a policy like this one. And therefore I think there need to be very, there need to be a way of linking whatever the government is intending to do. And I think, of course, One Voice could be one of that channel through which this can be done. But I think it is important for that to be in place. Now, of course, you know, in the UK, for instance, you have a lot of groups. You know, you have a lot of community groups, community associations. There are as many as there are cities. If you come to Peterborough, there's a community association. Go to Nottingham, there's a community association. You go to Manchester, there's another community association. But there is really nothing that brings all those organizations together so that to have the same impact and to have to have the same impact to the community. I feel that what we need moving forward, I feel, is that there has to be that robust communication between the consular service, which is of course representing the government intentions, and the communities. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Reverend, for your input. Okay, so I'll go to Juliet, please. Juliet, you're muted.
Hello, can I be heard?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. I am quite, I take a different view a little bit because in 2014, they did, here in UK, I'll talk about UK. So here in UK, around that time, we had an exercise for the diaspora policy paper. And I remember that we had the Deputy High Commissioner called Jacqueline, is it Jacqueline? Yeah, is that correct? Jacqueline, Lydia?
Which one? Jackie Yonga?
Yes, Jackie
Yeah,
Yonga.
Jackie Yonga, yes.
Yes. So she was given the task to sort of like bring it out to us. And I remember asking that we needed to be involved. I was one of the main change makers suggesting that that should happen both critically, and many community leaders sort of like wanted to really input in that policy paper. So it was an interesting time then. So I have we had different community leaders were coming in with their communities, as per se, or the people they knew. And what was interesting when I asked her is, it's good enough to ask us to get to the community, but we don't have the tools to do that because you would need resourcing to actually bring a group of Kenyans together. At that time, Zoom wasn't popular like now. So you've got to understand that our community was not used to Zoom. People were just sort of taking up and shaping up to even WhatsApp. I was one of the first people to sort of set up a WhatsApp. In fact, at that time, I reached out to various community leaders and said, we needed a one voice where we had community leaders who were known to us so that whenever we took decisions, at least we are able to spread the message effectively, or not even effectively, but efficiently. So we didn't really have to rely on the government. We needed to change the books to suit us. So set up this particular place, but the diaspora policy was set up to respond to the urgent need to mainstream the Kenyan diaspora. So it's a national development paper, which came about because we had now just acquired dual nationality. And so because of the dual nationality, they wanted us to be able to have a framework through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs so that we were able to meet out the Kenya Vision 2030. So that's why it's then being set up on our behalf, because it was coming underneath the department of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So what happened then? I'm glad that when you started, you spoke about this unity. I haven't been following all the programs, but I know that Lydia and a few others have been really pushing forward with all kinds of programs so that Kenyans are coming together and all that. And so it was quite an interesting time for some of us. Some community leaders were doing their very best with very little. And I'm glad Kamodo has mentioned that. So without tools or without being given tools for the community change makers or leaders, and what was happening, people like myself, I'll use myself, I don't want to mention names, were actually using our own resourcing to call upon the Kenyans here in United Kingdom. So we were able to actually input towards that policy paper. Sadly, the take-up wasn't much. The response from the Kenyan community in UK was very little. I want to praise people like Sophie Gatiba here, even Lydia, and many others who took it upon themselves, Dr. Martin Koyabe as well, and a few others who took it upon themselves with very little resources, none. I mean, personally, I didn't get any resources, and I'd love to say that here. And I know that when we reached out to the deputy at that particular time, and people say they wanted a one-to-one, there was all kinds of discussions happening. Now, it's interesting that 6 years down the line, we are talking about what we should have been talking around that time when the government asked us as Kenyans to input into that paper what we really wanted. In other words, they eventually then they sent somebody from Kenya to come and do their own research. Now, interesting, I was actually on my way to Kenya on that particular time, and I was checking in, going home to Kenya. And who do I bump into? I for some reason, I was quite fortunate to tell that story. And I went through the gates of the people who are supposed to be important because they flight or something. But who did I meet? The person who had come to interview Kenyans from for this particular diaspora paper. I was quite amused because we had an interesting conversation while I was on the flight. But the most important thing is this diaspora paper presented a very challenging time to the Kenyan leaders. It did that at the time. It has still done that today because you can see we are still not happy with it. A lot was said, and the Kenyan leaders felt that this diaspora paper was not meeting the framework in which it was meant to operate. Hence the reason I'm happy to come and sort of discuss this. Back to you, Lydia.
Thank you, Juliet. Thank you very much. Okay, Langat, I know you're behind the scene, but I don't know if you can talk. And before Langat goes, I just want to say thank you very much, everybody who is tuned in. Thank you very much for everybody watching today. Thank you for your contribution. Like we always say, please share so that we can have a lot of diaspora tuning in so that we can unite together and our voice to be heard. Because what we are doing, what we are fighting for is for our voice to be heard. Once our voice is heard, then we can take action as well. But we can only do it together. We can only do it collectively. So guys watching, please share. I know somebody have written to me already and said, I've shared it twice, but you need to share it more. So everybody share, comment, and also like. We'd like to hear your views as well, not just watching and liking and sharing. We would like to hear your views. And we have people watching from Kenya, people watching from USA, people watching from Italy. Thank you very much for tuning in. Now I'll go back to Langat.
Yes, Lydia, thank you very much. And thank you to Weldon for the presentation he gave on the Kenya diaspora policy. I also acknowledge the speakers who have spoken about, or they are given a rejoinder on the same. Yes, we've never been happy as the diaspora. I don't even think the policy itself has ever been adopted anywhere. I believe it's just one of those things that the government always does, and then the report ends up in a shelf. So we had an opportunity recently when the BBI proposal came in fact, in two doses, just like the COVID-19 vaccine. We had BBI 1, and then there was BBI 2. So we've said before that when the BBI 1 report was published, we had an opportunity to interrogate it, and in fact, gave our views on how we wanted issues touching on the diaspora to be captured. Of course, we began when Lydia invited us to this show, lamenting that our aspirations were not captured. And we felt that there was need for our issues to be touched. So we mentioned very well that what the BBI is trying to do to entrench in the Constitution of Kenya about the diaspora is just ensuring that the remittances are smooth. So that's all that it's doing. I am glad to see in one of the chapters that there was the Diaspora Council. We discussed having a Diaspora Commission. They went ahead, they had Youth Commission and other commissions, but they didn't think that there was need for a Diaspora Commission. We discussed about having a department, which is a fully manned department, where issues of the diaspora are really captured. But of course, we accept the fact that we are second-class citizens because we are not in the country. We probably being felt as if we are not paying taxes, but I believe majority of us run businesses in Kenya and we pay taxes. So I think our voice needs to be heard, but I believe that many speakers here have said, and I believe unity is key if we present one voice. And I think this is where the conversation is headed. I think we will take an advantage of the elections that are going to be coming very, very soon. I think from 2021, the front runners will now start to take a very serious consideration of us. And I think what we need to start to agitate about is to be able to vote. So I think if we push for diaspora to vote, I know that a few of us around Africa are able to vote now. I believe the voters in Rwanda, I think maybe, was it the East African Council? So, but if we start our agitation to be able to be allowed to vote, then immediately the political class will now start to know that not just influence now via a vote, but also we influence via resources. So I think this is a very good opportunity to ensure that the unity is intact. And I must appreciate the fact that I've met Juliet before in Waterloo, and I know her. I know she agitates a lot for Kenyans, and I think we now starting to get the right people in the show who can actually help us and steer this through. But Lydia, we will of course acknowledge the fact that now your media here is giving us a wonderful voice, which we are jointly going to ensure that our issues are listened to. So I support unity. Thank you, Lydia.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, I'll go to John Kanyaru. John Kanyaru, I know you're behind the scene, but you can talk. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Lydia, and everyone in the panel. Thank you, Weldon, for the presentation about the diaspora policy. And it's a document that I've seen. And some of these documents, you wonder what is the intention, because if you want the document to have legitimacy and acceptance, it requires the participation of the people who will consume it. I've lived in this country for 20 years. I don't know who they consulted when they were actually writing that document. And I think it is not lost to you that even the diaspora conference that has ever been held, it is done in Nairobi. And the biggest question is, you cannot preach to people in Dubai when the conference is being done in Eldoret. You go to the ground of the people that you are preaching to. They cannot sell this document in Nairobi. And that's why even the acceptability hasn't been taken by diaspora. And the other thing, I think there has been a frosty or suspicious relationship between diaspora and the High Commission, because given the history, the High Commissioners have been seen as spies in those years we came in this country. They need, if they are the one to lead the unity of diaspora, they show through action and engagement. As Makapila said, there is literal support to bring the diaspora together. Recently, when we were giving views on BBI, we had to spend our own money to hire a conference hall in London so that we can collect the views. But it leaves a bad taste in our mouth that even after spending money, those views were never considered. So you wonder if the government surely cannot consider the views which we have funded. Do you think this document that they funded, they are serious with it? They really need to come out clear to give people confidence that what they mean in that document is true. Majority of the diasporians were suspicious of the government talking about remittances. And the suspicion was, finally, we are being pulled together, the money to go through a certain channel so that they can tax that money. And I hope that is not the general intention, because that one will limit the amount of money that Kenyans are sending. I would think if the government engage, show respect and interest with diaspora in terms of even opening up the leadership at policy levels, at governmental level, and even because telling us you have a diaspora desk, I have always said, actually, they need to rename whatever they call a desk, even to say diaspora office in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, because a desk means it's something, one table with one man dealing with 4 million Kenyans abroad. And I'm very happy to have Lawrence here and the other gentleman from Kifua. Let's unite Kenyans. Let's first of all consolidate ourselves at a different national level, and then we come together and we have an organization that we can face off the government, not with the intention, bad intention, but
Oh, sorry. You're muted.
Who muted me? I hope there's no government operating. I'm saying I'm very happy. Let's consolidate ourselves in different national levels, and then we come together so that we can have a strong voice, so that we can engage with the government on very high levels. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, I was leaving Michael for last because I just wanted him, if he has anything to add on to what the document was all about. So, Michael?
Yes?
Yes?
Lydia?
Yes, sir.
How long do you have? No, unfortunately, I had to turn off the video because I was taking 1 or 2 notes. So firstly, thank you to, one time. Apologies.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for Weldon. To Weldon for the presentation. It was really good. I came to take, because you know the group we are on, I came to learn something, but I also believe I should contribute. And my contribution would be that, firstly, I thank you for One Voice, and I'm going to dive straight into it. We export a lot of electricity to Kenya from Uganda. But at the same time, we're a landlocked country. We rely on the Kenyan infrastructure of transport to survive in Uganda. Same thing happens to Rwanda. So as One Voice, what happens in Kenya does actually affect us. The issues which have been raised are actually similar to the issues which we would be having if, as a group, unfortunately, you know the history of Africa or East Africa, Kenya has always been a little bit ahead of the other countries. But the same issues that you're facing now, if we united within Uganda, we'd also face as Ugandans in diaspora. So it's a good thing that you're doing. Now, one of the notes I made down was that you've got access to the report and we're intertwined. It would actually be good to share that report with maybe other Ugandan communities within diaspora so that they as well try and look at what the Kenyans are doing and engage themselves. And that way, because we're all interdependent, we're all entwined. Mm-hmm. What happens in Kenya does affect Ugandans. And what happens in Uganda, we provide you a lot of electricity. We export electricity from Uganda to Kenya. Surely it does affect you as well. And I believe we in diaspora, like someone said, think about the talents we've got here. How can they be transmitted back home? When you talk of remittance, you know how I think. Why does Kenya Commercial Bank or Kenya Central Bank not have their own unit within the consulate abroad? Because this is digital money. And then they can have their foreign reserves ready and waiting in whichever foreign country it is for the Kenyan businessmen to go and pull out and trade. And they can then provide preferential transfer rates. So some of the issues that you face, we also face. So thank you very much for inviting me. And like I said, I came to feed my many monsters and I took some notes. So thank you for that opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you very much for accepting the last minute invitation. Okay, so what I want to say from everybody who have been talking and commenting and first of all, again, I want to say thank you for all our viewers. Thank you for your contribution. We have some questions, but we're going to read that a little bit later. But I just want to say thank you very much. And please, again, I know somebody said I'm watching all the way from Kisumu. And today we have lots of people watching from Kenya, by the way, which is awesome. And please share. Somebody said I've shared it in 10 groups. Continue sharing. Thank you very much. Please share, and also comment and like. We really want to hear your views and your comments. That's very important. That's more important to us than even sharing your comments and your views. And what Michael said, and I think that's the reason why we should unite. That's so that we, as a continent, not just Kenya, but as a continent, so that we can feed and bounce from each other's strengths, skills, and talents. An African continent, we need each other. And that's why I'm so proud of One Voice, that they've started this, and now we're just going to come under One Voice. But again, why do we lack unity in diaspora? And again, I want to start with Lawrence in that. As much as we have a platform and we keep on coming, because we've said this since we started this, we need one umbrella, we need to be together, we need to unite. But those are just words. But what are we doing? Because there is no way in Africa as a continent, they're going to listen to us without an umbrella. We need to have a voice. And the only way we're going to have that voice is if we are together collectively. Otherwise, everybody has somebody shouting here, somebody screaming there, somebody's crying there. They're not going to hear that. But if we are screaming from one voice, then yes, so I just want to ask this question. As much as we want unity and to work together as Kenyans or as Africans in diaspora, why do we lack unity in diaspora? I'll start with Lawrence, please.
Thank you, Lydia. And that's a loaded question. Why do we lack unity in diaspora? I think I'd encourage people who are watching and the panelists to go to YouTube and look for Ambassador Arikana Chihumburi, who's just been let go by the African Union for talking about things that keep separating us? It's a very interesting topic. So she does tell us, and I'm not going to go into everything she says, mentally, we're still shackled. And that till today impacts on how we relate with each other. Our brother Michael in Uganda, back in the day, somebody actually decided where the border would be. If I can remind everybody, at one time, the Kenyan Vice President, Honorable Mudi Awori, had a real brother who was a member of parliament in Uganda. Real brother. That's never happened in any other place. And that tells you the kind of problems we have facing us. Where does Kenya end and Uganda begin? And I'm not trying to start another debate here, but those are the issues that we need to face head on. Without realizing who we are, what our aspirations are, and what is working against us, all the talk about unity, even through one voice and what we're trying to do, Kifua, etc., will have those challenges because we're like a tree without roots. And we know if you don't have roots, you can't feed the branches, the leaves won't be green and so forth. So it's always going to be a mirage. In diaspora, we're human beings, we're greedy. We want to be the chairman of this and that. I don't mind us having many associations in Manchester, in different areas and so. We're just looking for a place to belong. That's okay. But when we speak, when we tackle issues, we don't do it as one. I think a few years ago in Kenya, there was, maybe 2 years ago, there was a diaspora homecoming and there was a tussle of which group is going to do it. Surely we shouldn't have those kind of things. If we're diaspora, now we're fighting which diaspora group is actually hosting Kenyans for the homecoming. And that comes about because some of us in diaspora have hidden agendas. If I want to be a leader somewhere, I think I should come out straight and tell everybody, my aspiration is to be the governor of Wajir at one point. And then you choose how, as we do what we're trying to do with one voice and so on, you're aware that my aspiration at one point is to get to A, B, and C. So in diaspora, particularly in the US and other places, I think when you mix all those things together, and at one point you find the leader of this diaspora group had another agenda, people feel, duped. And it's nobody ever wants to be taken, for a fool. So I think as diaspora, we need to tackle those issues head on. Let's not shy away from them. Thank you. You're on mute, Lydia.
We call it technology. This technology, man. In my language, we say technology. Technology defeated people. Just direct translation from that one. Okay, thank you again. Yeah, just to go to what you've said, just a little bit, because I'm not really supposed to be talking too much here, is the fact that the same thing, we go back to the same thing of which group is going to do this, which group is going to lead. I want my group to be on top there. But if we have one umbrella, like one voice, and then we all come with different organizations, you still keep your objectives, your visions, your aspirations, and your aims. That doesn't change. We just have one umbrella and we're all under this umbrella. So that will really, really help us as diaspora. And then we have to be really transparent from beginning, like you just said, Lawrence. We have to be transparent from day one and say, this is what I want from this group, or this is what my ambition is. This is what I want to get from here. But it's high time, diaspora, it's high time we join hands and fight together. Otherwise, we will never be heard. We just make noise and they'll sit there and look at us and laugh and say, look at them, they're here again. They won't go anywhere. So, okay, so I want to go with the same question. I want to ask the Weldon, the same question, Weldon, please.
Thank you very much, Lydia. First, I want to say that we as diaspora is no different from any other community outside there. So we are a diaspora community and we have challenges. And we, as like any other community, we have issues. So the first thing I want to say about this, as the reason why we are not united, is because we have been swallowed, or we have consumed the energy from political energy from home, the negative energy actually. Because you find that as much as we are in diaspora, we take sides, okay? So we take sides, people take sides. People follow what's happening home. There is even ethnicity here let's speak about it. We are supposed to be diaspora. We are supposed to be people actually who are helping, or the role models to help shape a better Kenya. But here, to be honest, we still have ethnicity as one of the biggest problems. We still have we have strong political sides. So that alone makes it really difficult to unite. And one thing also you have to know is that we are out here and we are competing. So one other thing is competition. So people here are competing. They have different expectations. They have different needs. So we compete among ourselves in this competition. It's unhealthy. It's not unhealthy competition. It's unhealthy competition. And it is one of the biggest, actually, even more than ethnicity, because people are expecting a lot of things and they want something out of it. So in this competition, you will find that there are actually cartels here. I'm sorry to say this. There are actually cartels in diaspora. People who want to negotiate on behalf of others. They think about themselves. So they actually work closely, like when the president comes here, you find this kind of special people. They are always with the president. They tell them, I am the representative of diaspora, and this is what the diaspora is saying, and they need this. So actually when the government will believe, because the president is not always here. And because we are not united, we don't have a strong voice. These people are so powerful that even they get even positions with the government. The president even appoints them in specific positions. I'm talking about people that I have seen, okay? So this is one of the biggest challenges. Such kind of cartels will never allow us to unite together, and we need to start now working together. We put away our ethnicity, we put away this, we try as much as possible to fight together to put away these cartels, because our strength relies majorly on unity. And as you said, we are over 3 million Kenyans. So this is the estimation based on 2013. So you can give it over 4 million now. This is like the population of Nairobi. So we are actually like almost a county. We are almost a county here. So even if in democratic processes, as like Dr. Langat said, we need to have the right to vote. The power to vote alone will make these people listen to us, because they know we can vote them out. So we need to push this right to vote. But before this, the challenge of unity is really huge, and it is only because of cartels. Let's start with one voice. Those people will come in. Those associations will come in. We work with them. We push. We make sure that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs accept this entity as the sole entity that speaks on behalf of all the associations in diaspora. Let me tell you this. Even the Ministry of Foreign Affairs are begging us to unite. Come on, how can we oversight Ministry of Foreign Affairs when they're actually requesting us, guys, unite so that we can do this? I can tell you on experience here in France, because the Embassy of France for a long time had never had an umbrella association. Even when the president comes, or when the Ministry of Foreign Affairs or the Kenyan government wants to interact with Kenyans here, they don't know who to interact with. So they're actually asking, guys, why don't you come together? So that is why we have this umbrella association. And I want to encourage all Kenyans all over diaspora to please form a diaspora association, umbrella association that umbrellas all the associations and individuals. Not everyone will come in. As much as you think that we are successful, it's no. We even have an opposition here. Like they don't accept us as an umbrella association. It's the same thing everywhere. So, but we are recognized by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. They were there during elections, and that's how we are going to do it. So thank you very much, Lydia. Unity is a key.
Thank you. Okay, I think that cartel thing, that has really scared me because I didn't even know we have cartels, you know, but it's good because you've mentioned that. So I think we need to have a to-do list, you know, like you said that we need to stop the cartels. I think we need to have a to-do list and then start stopping the cartels, competition, tribalism, because those are all the things that you actually mentioned. And I know when it comes to tribalism, it is key. Even, yes, I know on your side you think it's competition, but tribalism is just key because I saw when we had voting in Kenya and people were being killed and the things I saw on Facebook, and I was thinking, you guys, you're diaspora, seriously, and diaspora people are fighting amongst themselves and abusing each other and blocking and deleting, and I was just watching. I could not believe that diaspora can actually behave like that. So more so, tribalism, competition, cartels, we need to have a do list and take them out one by one, and we'll get there. And I know there's a lot of comments on Facebook, but I'll still take two more and then I'll go and read what our viewers are actually saying as well. Okay, so thank you very much. I'll go to Alex. The same, Alex, please.
Thank you, Weldon. I have listened very, very keenly and with great interest. You seem really to actually understand what the issue here is. But I think we delude ourselves if we imagine that, you know, merely taking a plane and leaving Kenya and settling in a new land is going to suddenly transform paradigms that people have been exposed to over all their years. I do remember, you know, for example, personally, and I'll say this, which might represent many of those people, including many on this forum. I went to primary school in central Kenya, I went to secondary school in central Kenya, and I went to university in Nairobi. So by and large, it was actually my first kind of exposure that there is a different Kenya other than the one I had been exposed to in my own village growing up in central Kenya, was actually interacting with people in university, because here was a place we could exchange ideas freely. I could see people who are better than me, who did not speak my language, and I could see people with way superior ideas to many that I had been fed to in the course of growing up. And I think we sometimes tend to lose the plot when we imagine that merely by me coming in here, I will be transformed to see myself as suddenly Kenyan, whereas the significant number of people in Kenya born in the 1990s and behind are actually people who actually grew or were socialized into a tribe. They were actually taught that being divided and looking after your own is superior than the larger picture. And I think you look at that, and I would want to probably maybe marry that with the point that Weldon so eloquently put, that even when it comes to having contacts which can yield influence, you see the same picture being repeated in here. I hear that there are Kenyans here meeting the High Commissioner in London. I have been in this country for nearly 20 years. I have never met in one of them, not because I don't want to go and meet them, but merely because sometimes even you look at these forums and you see as if they are essentially ego trips, other than maybe forums where issues are articulated and especially views affecting Kenyans. And actually one thing which is actually quite regretful is that the high commissioners and the successive ambassadors who have been in here are almost kind of relish to see that their job is made much easier by the fact that we are actually divided, because it means I will go there and present a case that is about me as Kamau. Lydia will go there and give a case as Lydia. John will go there as John, and Weldon will show the following day as Weldon. But I think we can do things, and I think a starting point is a forum such as this. If we can try and have a forum like this to have people such as Lydia and Weldon and others having people who can actually articulate issues and they actually understand those issues. I remind you something. I remember watching TV, I think it was in 2007 or 2008, and the BBC had asked somebody to come and give a commentary about Kenya, a commentary about Kenya. This person was not even Kenyan. And the issue this person was presenting about the country bore very little resemblance from the Kenya I know. And what this is telling me is that the lack of unity, the lack of a forum also means that we are starved of those specialist skills, of those people with superior understanding, Dr. Langat and others. And there are many, many, many of them. I have actually just come to know about Weldon, I think the last session and today. And, somebody like Ms. Makapila, I do see Makapila in various forums, we do not know each other. Is this somebody I would want to represent me tomorrow if there is something about Kenya? By all means, these are the people these are the voices we need to be heard there. These are the people who seem to have the capacity to articulate issues. I have heard about Reverend Reuben. I have friends in Peterborough. I have never seen him. I've never heard about him. And I'm sure neither has he, which is really regrettable. And I think individuals such as yourself, Lydia, I think if we could come up, we start from here. To imagine the journey is going to be short and sweet, it is to be deluded. It is going to be difficult. But if we started by saying, we are going to create this link, Weldon will tell 5 more other people that he knows in his database, and another person will tell another person. And then we can have this forum, we can have this, and together with the one voice that you have mentioned about, I think we can be able to get somewhere. I was reading something somewhere about the rise of focal minorities, small groups of people who end up wielding a lot of influence across the board. And this reminds me again and again about the Jewish diaspora. And I would imagine many of us here would know that the word diaspora actually originally means the Jewish people dispersed from Israel to other parts of the world. And if you look at them, I'll give you an example about the United Kingdom. There are only 330,000 Jewish people in the United Kingdom out of a population of 67 million. And I will tell you, you would know that an issue that touches on that community will be in newspaper after newspaper after newspaper after TV headline after TV headline, and they are able to articulate their issue even when they are a very, 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 very small group. And the same thing is repeated in the United States. I'm sure Lawrence is in there, but I was just trying to read. My issue is in economics and business, that is my field, that a successive, almost a disproportionate number of the chairman of the Federal Reserve in the US have tended to be Jewish. You do not need to be a politician. When you have such a person, wielding that kind of influence at that high echelons of power, you actually do not need politicians representing you. And I also think that even ourselves as Kenyans in the diaspora, we also need to understand that the only way we are going to influence Kenya and be forces for good is not by becoming politicians ourselves. If we could wield power of an alternative sense, notably economic power, we can then be able to say, we will start bit by bit. And I think Nairobi could be a very, very good starting point, where people actually say, I believe in this candidate, and we are going to follow these resources. If we can be able to do that with one person, and then we do it another person and another person, it is going to bring change in the end. Because it doesn't mean that every Kenyan politician we have doesn't appreciate what we do, because a significant number of them have been themselves people here. The late Kenneth of Court being a good example. I think he was in France or something like that. Dr. Ochodo is another person, although probably maybe his is a much longer story. So I think if we could start from here, Lydia, and I would encourage you a lot to try and enrich this forum. I don't have to be here. It could be somebody else next week, so that we start off by knowing that if tomorrow we are asked to give somebody who can give a commentary on a particular thing, we know that we can be able to pick up these individuals who are well informed. Somebody like John seems to be somebody who understands business here. He understands business in Kenya. He understands the challenges, what the issues are. I had a small discussion with him and his experience attempting to become a politician in the Rift Valley. And these are people who actually understand issues. This is where it is all going to start, because so long as we have meetings with the High Commissioner, meeting with our ambassadors abroad, being with this kind of a cabal of people who are only there maybe because there is going to be a small allowance or anything like that, the wider community issues, the wider issues affecting us as a diaspora will not be articulated at the table where they need to be. And Lawrence said something very, very, very important. If your complaints are not heard by the person who can actually take a decision, they remain just that. They just remain. It's almost like if I started complaining on this forum about my local official where I live, it's a very, 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 very poetic complaint. But what are you going to do about it? Nothing. I need to go and complain to that particular person. And I think that is where it starts, Lydia. And sorry, I took a bit more time.
Thank you very much. You know, what you just say, that politicians are actually happy that we're not united as diaspora, then, because we cannot give them any case to deal with because we're not together. Actually, one day we had the IEBC, the former chairman, and he said, that's what he said, mutadu as diaspora. And he said, he gave us something. He said something, and I was actually really shocked, because he said that because we are not united as diaspora. And John was there, Langat was there, and Weldon was there as well. He said, because we are not united as diaspora, they're not going to listen to us. The only way they're going to listen to us is if we unite as diaspora. And that's why one voice, I am so happy that we have that. And now we're going to shock them, because now we're going to start uniting. It's slowly by slowly, step by step. My language, we say mosmos, and we'll get there. Okay, thank you very much. So I'm going to ask next, Juliet Makapila, please. You're muted, Juliet.
Thank you so much, Lydia, again. I'm going to take it slightly to a different level, and I want to try and answer the questions. The problems are known. So I want us to take it to solutions. And the questions that you asked us is the role of diaspora in development of Kenya. So I want to take it up there because I love solutions. And I think that all the problems, and thank you so much to bringing us from the policy paper to the issues that we face. Indirectly, disunity, not being organized, I can hear all that. And we are screaming for change and stuff like that. So I want us to hear solutions here. I remember 2014, 20th of 12. One of the things I think that because one of my passion, I'll talk about that so that you understand why I talk about solutions in a very positive way. And I'm very challenged when I hear that we will have a vehicle of us coming together, and somebody's touched on that here today. And so 2014, that's 2014 we're looking at, and now we're in 2020. Then at that stage, I suggested that all the founders of anybody who had ever set up something in Europe, not in UK, in Europe, that we come together in one WhatsApp group, because that time I had a WhatsApp group, and I suggested that was exactly 20th of 12, 2014. I've just checked the dates. So the idea being that we have representatives, or not even just representative, but just basic community leaders that were able to come together as we talk. You know, like the way pastors come in, and so they say, oh, pastors are coming into the pulpit. But it was interesting for me to learn from the pastors that even pastors sometimes don't get on. So that was really interesting to observe that at that particular time. So I just want us to look at the solutions here tonight. And so the question we were asked to think about the role of the diaspora in development of Kenya. I repeat that for the viewers. So for me, collaborating has been a major challenge, as we can see. And I believe that the diaspora needs to be more understanding that that is a vehicle that we need to understand very well. Partnership is not a straight road. Partnership has never been even easy, even for normal organizations here in United Kingdom. But it so happens that I love to join the dots. That is why you see me talking so much about the different aspects of different things that I seem to know who is doing everything, because I naturally love goal number 17. And that's what I really am passionate about. I love to say, oh, that one is doing this. And sometimes, in fact, At one time, I was even challenged that we are Kimbele. I'm not Kimbele. It's what I need is exactly what I want is the person who is best at doing what can be delegated to that task. Everybody is good at something, but not everybody is good at leading. So you've got that challenge of coordination. And I believe that the coordination processes that we have in the diasporas have created major challenges. Now, the reason why I had suggested that we needed to work under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which also presents a bit of challenge, was because that's the ministry that was there. That is the ministry that is still there. And when people are coming together to try and and that's the ministry that is facilitated by our government, that is known by our government. So whenever it comes to us, sadly, has somebody said there's some bit of cartels? Those cartels come in and they want something for something, and they prevent the diaspora from actually being able to really filter their way out. Now, I don't just want to say they're just cartels, but I also want to take this back to the government of Kenya to say, why should that be happening in the first place? So I remember saying something like, when the president comes here, he's not the president of just a few 20 people or 10 people in a room or something. He is the president for all of us here. How many are we in UK, for example? We are so many. So I suggested, even if it means that because they're not able to get a hotel for us, I was even at that time prepared to just cover the cost myself, because I knew you can have, we can all contribute towards very quickly. But stop this kind of favoritism that is there within the diaspora to just pick a few people, and then it's the same people who are being picked every single time, and that really creates some kind of disenfranchise within the community, and that creates the disunity that is there as we see it. And that also applies to France. I remember, I'll mention him, Kinuthia, when he came to us, he was trying to do a lot of stuff, and so the issue of disunity completely fails us because of all the misery that we know goes behind the scene. So the role of diaspora in development, I want us to see, I want to question the question of remittance. Is the role of the diaspora just to give money to the people of Africa or Kenya or whatever? Diaspora comprises of everybody, as we know. And what's the definition of that as well? Let me ask that question here today. And which definition do we as people who are living abroad want to take? And I will quote Dr. Koyabe one day, me and him having that kind of conversation, and he was putting me to task. And thanks to him, because I always have that kind of engagement with him, because he was quoting a different version and I was saying, that's okay, but it needs to look like this. So what's the definition and the role of diaspora, and how do we define that from this end? So we come from Kenya, and I will tell a story. We come from Kenya. What does every diaspora want? That's the first question I want to pose here. Everybody wants the best for the people of Kenya, because that is where we belong. Everybody wants to go and co-create something, or make sure that when you're going back to your village or your local place, you want to be able to go back and you have brought the real development in those cities or in those towns. So yes, nimeamka. So let me say something. The role of the diaspora, number one, is to create peace. That is how I feel. Our role as diaspora has never been very, very important. This is now or never. We need to look after our nation's interests. I know we all have different political ambitions and parties and whatever. Is there anything wrong with belonging to whichever party that you belong? I think it is how it's done. I think the issue of, and when I look at certain community leaders, so for instance, you have got different organizations or different visionary leaders who come up with all different kind of beautiful leadership. So, you know, and everybody's an individual. Let's take, for example, Richard Branson comes up with his vision. Lydia comes up with her vision. Weldon comes up with a vision. What is wrong about any of us coming up with any vision? I think it's the importance of understanding that is a vision. So we do confuse between vision and mission. And I want to suggest that we need to understand that when a community leader calls upon any of us, they are trying to do that vision. So this is when it gets more complicated as well. Some people want to carry on as if they and the vision, let's say, for example, somebody is setting up, let's say, a political party, whatever it is, that is his vision. I want to admire certain people who really feel that they want to go back home and they want to go and set up this political aspiration and complete change round because they want to have a political party that they feel that will enable great change within our communities. Yet, you also have people who also have vision because they just want to go in and maybe improve the youth. Now, all these things are known. The question is, are the diaspora really going to be able to do all the great things that we are supposed to do? Someone mentioned here earlier on about remittance, and that was supposed to be taxed. I remember commenting about that because how can you be taxed double? So you're taxed in whichever country you're coming from, then you then go back in Kenya and that remittance has already been taxed when you're sending the money already, so some money has been removed. And then again, you want to apply another taxation with the very same people who have overtaken tourism, in the sense that now remittance has actually been able to sustain the government of Kenya. Let me ask people a question. Thank you. Sorry, let me just finish that statement. So let me ask people a question. Are we then saying that if we are going to develop, we should only have one organization that actually allows for over 4 million people? And I think the answer is, how do you break that down in little quarters and understand that those leaders that are able to lead, regardless of whichever leader that you have, and being able to support those leaders effectively and efficiently, that will bring great change. Thanks, Lydia.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Juliet. Okay, so I'll go to Reverend. I'll leave John and Langat out on this. So I'll go to Reverend, and then after Reverend, I'll go to Michael. Thank you, Reverend.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lydia. Well, I just want also to echo the same sentiments that we need to be united. We need to be united. We need to have one voice. And you're calling me Reverend. Let me read you a scripture. Is that okay? Yeah. In 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 10, the Bible says, I appeal to you, brothers and sisters, in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, that all of you agree with one another in what you say, and that there be no division among you, but that you be perfectly united in mind and thought. You see, when people do that, they achieve so much. And therefore, I think what, of course, has lacked in the past is, and of course, I understand that the government cannot be able to engage with every community in their cities. There has to be an umbrella organization. So we require that unity so that we can have one voice. Lydia, everything either rises and falls on leadership. And if we have sound leadership, and which I think this forum is well placed to provide that leadership. I think it is well placed to provide that leadership. And therefore, I am looking at this as a great beginning, for great things. And if we can have that, then we will be able, from that leadership, we'll be able to kind of, break down things, make them simpler for people to understand. You see, I have dealt with our Kenyan community, and I understand that there are some things that need to be broken down, and only leadership can be able to do that. People who understand issues, they can be able to break it down to the local level. Now, you see, one of the strategies, well done, I think, with that presentation about the diaspora, the Kenya diaspora policy, is that they also intended to conduct civic education. You know, sometimes we think that everyone in diaspora understand these things. They don't. We need that civic education. And the only way that that civic education can be streamed down so that people can understand the strategy that the government is having, you know, and break all that down. I think we need a good leadership, and an umbrella organization is what will provide that leadership, and when that happens, then it is simpler also, like Juliet is saying about vision, because you see, for instance, every organization, every association has its own probably a governing document that guides them in what they do. And I can tell you now that most organizations that I know, associations, are very limited in what they do. All they look at is welfare, for instance. When someone has passed away, let's take him back home and so forth, they contribute for burial. And that is excellent because we take care of our community. But then, is there a way of having a better guiding document, for instance, that has been prepared by this leadership, that can be able to help the local organizations so that we are all speaking the same thing? That I've just read your scripture, one mind, one thought. That is the only way we can be united. If you have a local organization that has a governing document that is specific to them, then you have another one, it has a governing document that is specific to them. It's difficult to bring all those together. I think we need that umbrella organization that can be able to make things uniform, so that we know that the organization in Peterborough, for instance, and the organization in Manchester, they are all speaking the same thing. They are all heading towards the same direction. And if that does not happen, we will also be guilty of being, of doing the same thing, having a discussion and having a conversation, and then leaving it for another 7 years, and then coming back to the same conversation. I think, as Juliet is saying, the time is now. I think the time is now for that to happen. So I appeal to everyone also to be united. I know it's not possible, for instance, for Kifua to have the same governing document, for instance, similar to the one that we have in the UK, but we can have one in the UK, and so when there are things happening, for instance, at the local level, we know that there's representation from the umbrella, to guide things. When there's a problem with leadership, there is somewhere people can go, because one of the reasons that some of these organizations do not actually work and they soon disintegrate is because there is nowhere above that leadership. You understand? There is nowhere the community can be able to appeal to. You understand? So whenever that disintegrates, that's it. That's the end of it. But if we can have something that is guiding all these organizations, I think that can be wonderful. Me, I am for that kind of unity. Thank you, Lydia.
Sorry, I was muted there. Thank you very much, Reverend. And thank you for the scripture, 1 Corinthians 1:10. Thank you. Okay, Michael. Michael, please.
Thank you, Lydia. I'm just turning myself on. Interesting. Your initial question was lack of unity.
Yeah.
My answer was no united goal. And then straight underneath it, I put down one voice. Lawrence said something which is very, very important and we should never forget. We are mentally shackled. I normally do refer it to say that we're still mentally colonized, but I like how Lawrence put it. We're mentally shackled. We're like a tree without roots. But when you look at it, a tree grows from a seedling and it spreads out its roots. We focus so much on the eventual branches of the top, which becomes part of the problem. I'll pick something Juliet said. We confuse vision and mission. So instead of saying we have no united goal as one voice, we say we have one united vision. We have one united vision. And underneath that vision, you can have as many missions as you want. I'll give you a very typical example. I'm not political, but some of the issues that Weldon brought up around politics, you know my opinion when it comes to politics from us in diaspora. I tell you that if you want to vote in Uganda, pack your bags, go start living in Uganda, then start voting there. We take sides when we're in diaspora. However, on the flip side, we have political interest, and this alludes to what Julius says as well. We have political interest, but we're denied the right because we're not united. So how about we all unite so that all of us in diaspora, be it you're Kenyan, Nigerian, from any part of Africa, you put together one proposal to present to your individual countries and say, look, we in diaspora are united. And it's come to our attention that we have a way where we in diaspora can vote, and it is not along party lines or whatever. Then in diaspora, you can debate at a rather sensible level, not using bullets and guns, about the different policies of the parties that you support for your individual countries. It all stems from having one vision whereby you get Kenyan politicians with Ugandan politicians together, and they try to put together a document or a report which they can present to their individual countries. So that thing of unity can all work by all working together. And what the Reverend said, he did allude to that as well. I did mention previously sharing of reports. So when it comes to leadership, you can have leadership at different levels with different organizations, but because you're all working under one vision, you can still share ideas. And by people working together, alludes to what you say, you never knew there were cartels. You're then forcing the cartels to work together, all under one simple thing. Juliet said it, we just have one vision. And then we work from there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, somebody asked, can you repeat the verse again? The scripture, it was 1 Corinthians 1:10. Yeah, 1 Corinthians 1:10. Somebody asked that question. Okay, so I'll ask Langat to please read some questions if we have any questions on Facebook, if Langat is there, or John, because I've seen John answering some questions. Just read questions, not answers really. But I just want to ask somebody something. Somebody said, why do we have to reinvent the will? Why don't we just work with what is there already? That question was from Joy. She asked that question, so I'll put that question forth as well for us to answer. And we have so many comments. I don't know, John, are you there? Are you able to read the comments? Or maybe not the comments, the questions. Because we do have a lot of comments and, okay, John is there.
Well, I think majority of them are talking about unity, and they're challenging people, the panelists, and why are we not united instead of creating new organization? There is Brown, who had commented about that. United we stand, divided we fall. Ajoy Awe, who is also commenting, if I may ask, what is the Kenya embassy for? They should hold the Kenya diaspora umbrella. In other words, they should be more engaged in diaspora, or rather Kenyan diaspora, matters, and our Joy doesn't understand the role of the Kenya High Commission. Maybe that's a challenge if they're listening. They might want to popularize their terms of or a mandate in which they operate. One, I think, I don't know whether you can get, for some reason, my phone is has frozen. I can't see more than what I can. There are like 5 here.
Okay. There are so many, and that's the same with me here as well.
Yeah.
There's so many questions, but I can't. Okay.
Yeah, it's not scrolling. I don't know whether it's a problem with the Facebook. It's not scrolling the majority which were here. I'm only able to do about 3 or 4.
Yeah, the same is with me here as well. I can't. So I thought you can, because there's so many questions. But what I always say is thank you very much, everybody who is watching us. Thank you so much for the viewers as well. And what I always say again and again, please share. Right now we have 92 shares. So thank you very much, guys. Still share and comment as well and give us your view, what you think, and like as well. And ask your questions. It's very important to ask questions, okay? And I know all our questions have disappeared because there were so many. I wish I'd read them at that time, but I'll still have to just say thank you very much, everybody, for joining in on Facebook. Okay, so I'll go back to my panelists now again, and I'll start again with Lawrence. So Lawrence, what do you think we should do as the role of diaspora in the development of Kenya? Do you have anything to say before we just now going to, because we're running out of time?
I'll start by something I think it was Weldon, and forgive me if it's not him, who talked about us having political affiliations back home and all that. Those are good, and everybody is free to engage in those things. But as Kenyans, and I see this coming up in other African countries, the role of tribe, I think we're chasing a mirage when we talk about tribal issues. I think, as Mwalimu told us, we were socialized that way back in the 80s, 90s, and we're still chasing that, because your tribe does not make you who you are. Your tribe did not take you to France, to London, to the US. You put together your resources. You're out there not fighting for your tribe. Yes, you belong, and there's nothing you can do about that. You cannot change it. But I'll tell you what we can change. It's our unity. We can change where we're going. Where we came from, we can change it. So I think we need to focus on what also Juliet said. What's that mission? What are we trying to achieve, accomplish? Diaspora remittances and all that. If you have ever read the United Nations SDGs, which were actually championed by our own Ambassador Macharia Kamau, who's a permanent secretary now, they do call for lowering of remittances charges, because to Kenya, for example, it's very expensive. It's about almost, I'd say 7 to 10%. And the UN would like to bring that down to 3%. So these forums are there, and mechanisms are being put in place. But I think what we have is that disconnect of how we carry out to achieve or to arrive at the destination we want. Is it doable? Absolutely. I think we can achieve things that we set out to achieve, but we need to be forward-looking. Let's stop looking at who uncle holds what power, where you come from, what you drive. Those things are not important. Thank you, Lydia.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, I'll go to Reverend, please. Oh no, before Reverend, let me go to Weldon. Thank you.
I just want to respond to what Joy asked, that why should we have another association while we already have existing associations? Why don't we just have the missions abroad, like the embassy, be the umbrella for the associations? I just want to say it's not, I think she misunderstood it. What we want is to have, it's like having European Union and having all other countries. So European Union help regulate, speaks for, when they speak as European Union, they have a voice. They have a market. You know, the size of the market is so strong. They can be able to speak as one voice. They can do a lot of things together, but they still have the political jurisdictions of their countries without being interfered.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to say to Joy that we can have an umbrella association like the way European Union does, for example, so that I explain so that she can understand it. We have an umbrella association that speaks. You know, if we had an umbrella association that were able to command and demand the attention of the BBI task force, you know, it would have been very easy for us to push things. But because they know we are not united, they have
Mm-hmm.
they cannot listen to us. So it is really important that we have an umbrella association that does not interfere with other associations. Okay, like we have the umbrella associations from different countries. We can put all those together so that when we need to speak something to our government, we speak as an umbrella association on behalf of all diaspora. Okay, for example, when our sisters in the Arab world have problems, no one is speaking for them.
Yeah,
we are united here. We can actually push the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and push the government to put sanctions in those countries or to demand, to bring up solutions so that they can defend our sisters. But because we have a weak system as an umbrella association, no one is speaking for these people.
mm-hmm.
Diaspora members, and no one else understand the diaspora like us. Okay, and when we come to the issue that Lawrence mentioned about political affiliations, I support him fully. That we have a right to support and we have a democratic right to support wherever we want in our country. What I'm talking about is the negative ethnicity. Okay, that because most of our political parties in Kenya and the political temperature in Kenya is not always good. Okay, so we need to practice these rights. At the same time, we need to avoid the ethnicity. That's what I was talking about. I was not talking about the political freedom that we need to have. So I support you, Lawrence, and we even need to empower most of the diaspora members to go out there and vie for positions like John Kanyaru. We should even support him, like if he's like the way Reverend said, I think Reverend said is John Kanyaru is going to somewhere in Rift Valley to vie for a position. We can even be donors for John Kanyaru, so that when he goes to the house, he will be representing also the diaspora. And we can support him to do some projects back home. If I also want to be part of the political force from diaspora, the diaspora should be able to embrace and support each other. Thank you very much, Lydia. And I want to also say I support unity, and the quicker we do it, the better.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I'll go to Alex Kamodo, please, Alex. And these are your last remarks because we're running out of time.
Absolutely fine. God, it's interesting listening to all the very good points people have. And I just want to come back to the very, very question, the title of this debate. You know, what is the role of the diaspora in the development of our country? And I think because many of the issues that are coming out here is that we still have what I would call a stumbling block with the politicians and the political system in Kenya. But unfortunately, these are the people who make laws, and sometimes, no matter what you do, you probably will still encounter regulation and so forth. But I think if we were to deploy the one single tool that we have, which is our economic power, the fact that people probably here have more money than maybe the average person in Kenya, that might actually help us in the long term. And I have always had an issue with the issue of remittances, and I'm just going to split those ones in two. That if you look at the areas where the Kenyan the diaspora remittances are targeted, if you remove the economic subsistence that we give to our families, much of it seems to be overwhelmingly directed to the development of real estate. And I think so long as this continues to be the narrative, our influence is not going to be heard as much as it should be. I had a conversation with somebody about a year ago, and I was suggesting our government borrows money in the domestic market and foreign markets as well. What about trying even a conversation about having something I was calling a diaspora board, where the Kenya government can actually borrow money from us. They could designate it in dollars, in pounds, or in other foreign currencies. They could actually do that. And if our influence and power could start being felt in those kind of places, then you find yourself acquiring the economic levers that could then lead you to acquire political power. Another thing, because it is not going to be only one way, many of us here probably maybe have aspirations. Maybe probably you want to return to Kenya, or some people have that long-term consideration of going back there. Is there something we can do which is going to make the money that we earn here much more powerful? The establishment, I have written about this before, the establishment of, for example, of a diaspora retirement authority, akin to the retirement benefits authority that we have in Kenya. And somebody has indicated about a population of about 4 million Kenyans being abroad. And I was just trying to do a rough calculation, and I was saying, if we had a systematic way of knowing how many Kenyans are abroad, and we arrived even at a figure of 3 million, and we said out of those 3 million, if the government from wherever they are could be able to convince those people to send 50 pounds is almost like $70 every single month into a retirement fund of some kind, and then the government underwrites this money such that any Kenyan who is saving into this fund can at least have something should they decide to go back into Kenya. Now, that money necessarily would not be meant for us to go and retire and start drawing up tomorrow, but it would make available to the government a pool of money that they could either borrow from, akin to what this country does with the NHS. Many of us pay about, I think, 11% of our wages into there, and it has helped to fund health and other things in here. I think we have got to think outside of the box, and those people probably saying, why can't we make use of the organizations which are there? I think we do not need to make, better the enemy of good. We can actually become better. We can improve the ones that we have, and we can also refresh the ideas and also help to shift the organizations that we have here and make them better aligned to the realities of the 21st centuries and the many challenges that we face. That to those who so much is given, so much will be expected of. And I'm saying we have got to understand that this is not going to be a short journey. We are not going to get unity tomorrow. It is going to be a journey, but we can have the conversation. And maybe one last point, Lydia, is that I wish we could have a forum, a forum where people could actually propose ideas which they put into paper. This country has something called the Conservative Home, which is a website that has been so influential in determining government decision in here. And it started out as just a grassroots organization by people who hold conservative ideas. Lawrence is in the US, and I'm sure the ideas of this gentleman who was President Trump's strategist, I'm just losing his name. It's a Breitbart News or something like that, where you come up with ideas which have gone then to have influence at the national level. And I think I'm not going probably maybe to say this to you, Lydia, because probably there are other people in this forum who probably could also do that. To have a forum where people can have policy proposals which can be challenged, supported by empirical data and evidence, and they can be costed and contested. And I'm sure with time, if people, even policymakers back in Kenya, realize these are the kind of conversations that we are being had by our people outside of Kenya, gradually and slowly by slowly, our voice is going to start being heard. I think, Lydia, you are
Alex. Okay, thank you, Alex.
Sorry.
Okay, no, it's fine. Thank you. Okay, I'll go to Juliet Makapila, and also just knowing that these are your last remarks. Juliet Makapila, please. Is Juliet there with us? Yeah.
Yes, I'm there. So thank you so much for this program. I want to just appreciate Kifua the person who set up this, and of course to all the community leaders, plus yourself, who have engaged in championing that we need to now finally think about a vehicle. And I don't want to say that hope is something which is beautiful, and that is what we champion, tumaini in Swahili. So 2014, they say in business terms, it takes about 5 years to 6 years. Actually, they say it takes 7 years. So if we have to really clap to ourselves, 2014 till now, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So we're just about right to what they say. So we've just beaten 1 year. So let's take this serious and perhaps for the first time, begin to really support one another wherever we are across the whole world. I believe that if we have rediscovered ourselves and found meaning in our lives, I believe that's a great future for all of us. And I think that regardless of what vision and mission and what someone else, my vision perhaps, I love joining the dots together so that you'll always hear me saying, have you worked with these ones? And those organizations or partnership have not worked because they're competing with each other. And it's glad that we are discovering that, or people are discovering that. So my last remark is just to remind everyone that you've got a gift in life. You have got abundance in life. You have got talents in your life. And it is how you join those dots and how you actually are able to support each other without having that kind of mindset that is of a survival chicken, as I put it in 2014, that chicken and cocks fighting because everybody wants something. It's not about that. We are too far away from Kenya. And I also want to urge the government of Kenya to sincerely come to rescue. I said this when we were given dual nationality, and people sort of like looked at me. My background is in social sciences, may I say that, at this show. So I love solving problems. I actually say I'm a problem solver because that's what I love doing best in my whole life. So I think that we are the baby in this, and I will repeat that again. We are the baby in this. For some of us, some people, when they go back home, sometimes they've even forgotten about the issues real back home. I do community development programs back home, and I do quite a lot. And I can sincerely tell you, even for someone who is here trying to do community development in their streets, it poses a lot of challenges. May I appreciate some MPs who have really supported the diaspora, especially the MP for Bahati. May I thank him because he constantly will bring the issues of, in Nakuru, that is, he will constantly remind the government about the diaspora and the need to support the diaspora to grow. May we also call upon, as diaspora, thank you so much to the Americans, people, they've also tried to come up with their own group for many years. And I remember Ezi Wairumbi, when they were doing stuff, we were trying to sort of just do what you're doing here. But I think the bigger vision, Lydia, it is enabling the diaspora to grow. This gaslighting, this bullying, this essence of people thinking that this one needs to stop. And I feel that there is great hope just seeing that people want to come together. I want to acknowledge people like Councillor Kangeve. I can see she's right there right now. And all the councillors who have fought. I mean, we need to really re-engage the diaspora. I want to call upon the ambassador, the High Commissioner of in London here, to work closely with community leaders so that those community leaders are able to translate the vision of 2030. If that can happen in all the High Commissioner, perhaps we need to first of all perhaps their needs, and I called upon this when Mandu was here, actually, the diplomat Mandu. Perhaps we need to have a community funding which supports, not even funding, now we don't even need funding because we've got this technology, so we can bring it all. Let us call upon anybody who has ever brought a community together for more than 50, for more than 100 people. Let's say that. And that will show us that, and ask the government to actually join us in that, in forging or paving way for us to be able to support those communities. I just want to say thank you so much for inviting me on behalf of the North London group, which I also represent here in UK. People like Eddie, people like any person who knows how to mobilize. There's so many. Take your skills. There is no need to compete. My greatest strength, in fact, if people ask me, I don't even like mobilizing people. I leave that to people like Lydia. I love bringing the issues of, I love bringing the issues of real, what the community needs from us. That is what my greatest passion is. We need to really tap into every single diasporian, regardless of their journey and where they are. So I'll leave it there. And I think that if we have Tumaini, as I said again, is hope. And let's start now, not tomorrow. We've got our young people. I have said this again in the past. 10 years from now, some of us will be 60 years old. The 10 years after that, other people will be 70. We need to remember that these children, if they don't even have that kind of support, if we are not supported, it means that these kids will suffer, and it means that they will not be able to re-engage back home as best as they should be. Many of us are calling for the children in this country to be trained so that they can even learn how to speak the Swahili. You see a person like Lydia playing the drums, trying to get them to go back home and stuff like that. It is about building one another. It's about looking at the vision of every single one person of us and not fighting. Resources, as Kanyaro said earlier on, we spent our own resources. Nobody gives us money. And to waste that resources, I think we surely should ask ourselves question. Many thanks to watching as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, once again, I would like to say thank you to all our viewers. Thank you so much. We have so many comments, and I want to thank actually Juliet, Makapila, Weldon, Correo, and John Kanyaru for actually answering questions, because I can see them really, really busy answering questions. And what I always tell my panelists is very important to go there and relate with people as well, answer questions so they can come back again because they feel like they were part of us. But if we totally ignore them, it's like they're not part of us. And right now they are part of us. So thank you very much, our viewers. And thank you for all the people who are contributing to answering them. And just want to say, people are people. Why? Talking of credibility, organizations or forums that people can have confidence in, be part of, and hence ensure unity. Why is this forum a present of 4 people? 2 from KDA, UK, 2 from France. Is it genuine attempt to community engagement or for promoting the profiles of the 4 people? Okay, I would really like Lawrence to answer that. Can I read it again, Lawrence? Because that is a question I said I have to read.
Yes, you can read it again. For sure.
Okay, so somebody said, talking of credible organizations or forums that people can have confidence in or be part of, and hence ensure unity. Why is this forum, so why are we right now? Why is this forum a preserve of 4 people, 2 from KDA, UK, 2 from France? Is it a genuine attempt at community engagement or for promoting the profiles of the 4 people?
I think I'd start by saying Michael from Uganda is not part of that. Maybe we're here to promote Michael. I don't know. Or Alex we don't come here really to promote anybody as far as I know. I think it's to exchange ideas, and whoever thinks that, there's a hidden agenda, we invite them to come on to another forum. It's about contributing. We're contributing for one country, our nation. So names don't matter, faces don't matter. Karibu, join us.
And just to add on, I think that's where as well we normally have problems sometimes, because everybody wants to be, I want to lead, I want to be here, I want to be that. But if we appreciate people who are actually in the front line fighting for us to unite, I think that will make a big difference. So that's why I wanted you to answer that, because you are one of the people in one voice, and one voice is to unite all organizations inside that one voice, and that's why I wanted you to answer that question. Okay, so I'll go to say thank you again to all the people watching and on the Facebook, and please answer them. And well done. I also want you to answer that lady, Jenga Ngugi, because me and you and John, we know how all this started. That's why we're always here, because you're always representing our organization.
Yeah, I want to assure that lady, or is it a lady or a gentleman?
Jenga Ngugi, I think that's a man.
Yes. So I want to assure that gentleman that this is with the best interest of the diaspora community. And actually, if he is interested, he can be there in next week or the other panelists, and he can speak also his mind and what he wants to contribute to diaspora. So it's not only, it's not to benefit or to build the character or the image of some people, but because it's still actually a new venture. So that's why you see Lydia and me and some other people most of the time. I want to agree with you that maybe you have been seeing similar faces all the time, but it's going to change with time, because we are actually involving people like Lawrence, like Alex, and people from the US. So from time to time, you will see the faces will change and will have the image of diaspora. So I want to assure you that it's going to change and it's going to be better with time. Thank you very much. And I acknowledge that comment. It's very important, because from that comment, you can be able to see the progress and to test ourselves. So it's a positive, for me, I take it as a positive criticism that can build us. So Jenga, you're welcome for the next, if you work together with Lydia so that she can put you to the next forum.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Weldon. Okay, now I'm going to Reverend, and Reverend as well, just knowing that this is our last remarks, and then I'll go to Michael, and we'll finish for this week until next week.
That's okay. Thank you so much, Lydia. You know, my last remark would be on is actually a request. You know, the document that was presented by Weldon, the Kenya Diaspora Policy, also talks about the National Diaspora Council of Kenya, and this Diaspora Council, National Diaspora Council of Kenya, was going to be tasked with the role of advisory role to the government on issues of Kenyans abroad. So my question was, have we been in contact with this council? What are they doing since 2014? Have they been part of this panel? Can they be invited actually to come as panelists next time? You know, just to advise us on what they are doing, because they seem to be the link between diaspora and the government, and also any of the diasporians part of that council, or is it people in Kenya? Because if it's people in Kenya, they might not be informed about what's happening in the diaspora. So that's my request. And apart from that, I have really enjoyed this conversation, and I'm praying for you, Lydia, that God will strengthen you and give you wisdom. And also, I would like to wish everybody a very, very, very Merry Christmas and a very, very, very prosperous New Year. Enjoy this season. We are on Tier 4 now, so we have been limited. We cannot move much. But Thank you so much. God bless you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. People from France, people from the US. Juliet, that was wonderful to get to know you, you know. Thank you so much. God bless you. Just enjoy this season and have a great time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Reverend. Okay, so I'll go to Michael. Michael, please. And again, I'll leave out John and Langat for this.
Lydia, thank you for the opportunity. I'd like to thank everyone on the panel. I've learned a lot. It has been very informative. I will conclude by appreciating what Weldon said in response to Jenga's question, because in reality, vision grows. And by participating, you help define the vision as well. So if Jenga could take up Weldon's offer, I'm a guest, I'm Ugandan, then he would help the vision grow. But thank you for having me. Thank you very much. And thank you, everyone. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. And just to top up, I know Juliet wanted to say something, but we don't really have time. And just to top up as well, and today to Jenga, it's only today that Michael, we were talking and Michael's, we were discussing on a forum, and I told Michael, if you want to join us, you can. So it's not about just 4 people, it's about anybody who shows interest. And thank you very much, Jenga, for that as well. And just to say thank you for everybody who was watching. Again, thank you very much. Keep on sharing, keep on commenting. Even when we finish, just keep on commenting, because the panelists are going to actually answer your questions. So Alex, Lawrence, and Michael, Reverend, please, I want to see you answering the questions on Facebook. I know Juliet has done it, John has done it, Weldon has done it. So thank you very much. So I'd just like to take this opportunity and say thank you to Lawrence once again, and thank you to Reverend Robin once again, and thank you to Juliet Makapila once again. Thank you to Michael as well from Uganda, and thank you, Alex, for joining us once again. Thank you, John, again for joining us again, and thank you, Weldon, and also thank you, Langat. And I always say thank you to myself. So thank you, guys. And before we go, I just want to remind every single person around the world, COVID is real. Guys, take care of yourself. Please comply with the government rules. Social distancing all the time. Like right now, I'm alone in my room, social distancing. Wash your hands. Use the soap to wash your hands if you can. Guys, water and soap is so important. Don't wash your hands, water and soap, and then go and use sanitizer again. Just wash your hands. But when you're out, you can use the sanitizer when there's no water and soap. But water and soap is so important more than the sanitizer. So if you have water and soap, wash your hands. If you don't have it, use sanitizer. Use your mask. I don't have mine now, but yeah, okay. I actually have one. So this is it. So use your mask. Okay, so make sure you put your mask all the time, and stay safe and stay blessed. And you see, Reverend has one as well. And Michael has one as well. Okay, awesome, great. But this is Zoom, so you don't need one, but fine, awesome. Okay, so guys, take care of yourself and have a Merry Christmas. But guys here on Zoom, don't leave, stay there. I'll just say bye to our viewers on Facebook. So thank you very much, everybody. Until next week, we are here again, the same discussion. If you want to be part of it, please inbox me, or inbox Weldon, or inbox John Kaniaru. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. And tomorrow, again, we have something as well. Tomorrow, we're talking about boy child. So if you're a parent, or you want to be a parent, please join us tomorrow. We are here with Robert Bulare. So if you want to be a parent, or you are a parent, please join us tomorrow for another discussion from 6 to 9. Oh, 6, 7, 8, 6 to 8. Sorry, I lose my timing. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.
At World Remit, we understand what the journey is about, how it can sometimes take a little distance to bring us a little closer together. With ways to save more when you send more, World Remit is here for you, so you can be there for them.